I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show we have Nick Swinmurn, the founder of Hellebor. Nick, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Hi, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
You're very welcome. I know you've had quite the journey in entrepreneurship, and you're now turning into an NFT project that I hope will revolutionize sports communities and really get them involved in blockchain as much as NFTs brought digital art and fine art into Web3. I think there's a huge opportunity in sports and entertainment for this, and I'm excited to hear what your team is working on. So I would love to kick off our conversation by just hearing a little bit from you on your background in entrepreneurship and how that has led up to starting Hellebor.
Yeah, no, we think it's a huge opportunity as well. I mean, sports is so much passion in it that it feels like it would translate well. So at Hellebor, we built the first NFT-powered play and earn sports prediction game. We just took what we thought were the best parts of traditional fantasy and simple pick'em games, made it really approachable. You know, pick a winner. Right? Pick a winner, assign an NFT to it, and that increases the rating. As you increase the ratings of your NFTs, you level up through the game. You can also claim different rewards. So I wanted something simple. Got there just from curiosity, right? I've been a longtime entrepreneur. Started way back when in 1999, was the founder of Zappos.com. It was a great early experience. Showed me how hard things are, but also how fortunate we are to find ourselves in these times of great opportunity, right? Where anyone, regardless of their experience, can hop in and create something cool. So from there, jumped in, started a bunch of different. After leaving Zappos, started a bunch of different things: fitness, food, clothing. Invested in sports teams, all sorts of different things, and they all seemed, not connected. Until I discovered Web3, discovered NFTs, got back into collecting sports cards during COVID, seems like half the world did. That led me to Top Shot, which then led me to NFTs. And once I got in there, enjoyed the speculative stage, right? Everything can only go up. We're all geniuses. But thought, I think there's a really interesting opportunity here for utility to be more than a buzzword, and for us to get to the point where we can explain why an NFT adds value to an existing thing or an existing behavior or an existing industry, and why we can create a transaction where at the point of transaction, the purchaser feels good about what they got right then. They're not worried about what it might be worth. And so that was kind of what led to creating Hellebor. Was let's take some simple mechanics, let's find an industry that we're passionate about, find something that an audience is already passionate about, where there's a lot of daily content in the real world. Every day there's going to be games, and there's going to be people interested in those games, and people are already predicting who's going to win in different ways, whether it's sports betting or fantasy. And let's layer, use NFTs as a tool to create a simple game, and let them build value through an NFT, and understand that process, because we got to onboard all the people that aren't currently onboarded, right? We need that's really a big focus, and we think that we could hopefully play a big role in that.
Definitely, and that's a great backstory, Nick. I'd love to hear it, and it just from that perspective of starting with Zappos, which became so huge, and I feel like in that era, sort of mini games and gaming before mobile gaming, just on the desktop, it just was so big, and now with the advent of mobile gaming and just everybody on their phone all the time, I feel like, and that's even opened up to even larger audience of the older generation and even younger generation than before, having access to computers at an earlier age. But yeah. What you said about sort of investing in all those different industries, and they didn't really connect to each other, but when you saw that Web3 and NFTs are sort of making that connection to make one holistic picture, I feel like that's just like an aha moment. I'm like, wow. Because most people think, as you mentioned, when you first get into it, you hear it's speculation, or people are just trying to flip pictures or things like that. But once you get past that point, you see that connection and how it actually provides underlying value and can connect different things together. And I would love to hear more about that, on sort of how you're trying to put that thesis into Hellebor and make it more than just an NFT related sports thing.
Yeah, so there's really two ways. And the biggest one I think is, well, before all that, we have to have patience, right? And so I think going through experiences that in hindsight always look fast, Zappos looked so fast, but it wasn't. It was 10 years and it was a lot of ups and downs, right? And so you have that perspective. I think it gives you the patience and the freedom to say, let's not worry so much about what happens tomorrow. Let's just worry about what happens slowly over time. So we looked at, if you're playing traditional fantasy, you're having a good time with friends, which is, I think, a great benefit of it. It's why most people play. And you're making, you're picking players and you're watching what they do in real life, and then you're doing it again the next week, right? And so two things we wanted to change. One, we wanted to put the control in the players' hands. I think that's empowering. Simplify it down to who's going to win the game, introduce the spread at certain levels. But if I make a prediction, so basically I connect to the game, it says who's going to win, Warriors or Lakers. I pick one of my cyber NFTs, which is what we call our little cyber characters. I put that on the game. If I make the correct prediction, the player rating increases by 1. If I make the wrong prediction, it decreases by 1. As I level up my cyber, I can claim more cyber. I can expand how many predictions I can make each day. And ultimately, I can play at the team level, where I can start a league or join a league with anywhere from 6 to 64 friends. And every 28 calendar days, we play 15 head-to-head matchups. We just each, make these 3 or assign these 3 predictions each day. And that's where the NFTs come into play, because instead of making a prediction, I'm assigned a side. Like, hey, Nick, you have the Warriors -8 against the Lakers, which means they have to win by more than 8 points. I go through my roster of cyber. I've got a cyber with a high rating. I apply it to that game, and I might be able to get it to, for me to win, the Warriors only have to win by 3 points instead of by more than 8 points. So I've created an asset. That's the player in the game. If I make a good pick today, that becomes more valuable in my game tomorrow. And then transferable, right? The blockchain and NFTs is like, proof of ownership is great. So if I could say, hey, there's thousands, hopefully one day, hundreds of thousands of leagues around the world. People are playing for different incentives. And so if I can consistently get cybers up to a +9, and, scarcity is in the hands of the players, right? Most people are not going to be able to successfully get so many picks right. So inherently, the higher I get it, the more rare it becomes, the more valuable it becomes to a player around the world playing in their league, saying, shoot, I got to win this game against my friend today. I really need a cyber with a higher rating because I want to decrease the odds, right? And so that's that was one part. And the second part is just connecting to, the rewards and saying, what can I claim, right? Very simple. On day one, I grab my cyber, connect to the reward site. Oh, I've got another digital reward, or, I've got this one comes with, $25 or $100 into our e-commerce store, which has a whole bunch of, products. That was kind of the simple proposition is, hey, grab a cyber, start making predictions in this game, create a league with friends, connect to our reward site, see if you've got any digital or physical rewards attached. And that was kind of the foundation for, okay, now we've got a on day one transaction, which feels fair to both sides. It's not just, hey, buy this, hope it goes up. And then from there, we've got some daily activity where now they have a reason to come in every day. Very low time commitment. You can come in, check the games, make your picks, get out of there. Simple. You don't have to do a whole bunch of research. You don't have to worry about who the 20th best running back in the league is. It's just at the high level, which we think is very approachable for people outside of the space. And so that's kind of what we focus on. And then once we can create that daily habit, then we can present them with different things. Here's another opportunity. Here's something else. And eventually we see it as a platform where we can onboard third parties, and third parties come in and they go, I need to have a presence in this world because it's an active community interacting with current events that, the majority of the population is aware of, and they're coming in, they're having fun, creating some value. And I'd like to get in front of that audience, and maybe there's an opportunity for, a brand or to create new IP and use it on our platform. So that's our, I'm excited, so I can't stop talking, but that's our,
it is
that's our long-term vision. Yeah.
I really like that approach, Nick, and I haven't seen that as often where, there's actually an underlying utility that you can, inside of the NFT, that, the NFT gains value as you use it, and you're accruing, if you're winning, all of a sudden the NFT becomes more valuable, or you need a more valuable NFT to help you. And most of these NFTs, whether they're a static image and they have access to a membership or something, they're not really dynamic NFTs, which I've talked to quite a few NFT companies over the summer months here. And, there's this common trend of NFT 2.0, or like dynamic NFTs, and NFTs that have accruing value in different ways, and adding value as they grow. So I really like that approach, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. And now with the fantasy, where have you guys targeted initially, and do you plan on expanding it out? Because there's so many different options for different leagues and different sports and different jurisdictions.
Yeah, so we're just finishing up our beta, and we brought a group in. We let them compete in football, baseball, and soccer. And the idea was bring an early group in. We've been working on it for a long time, so we're probably not aware of little friction points or onboarding things. So you want to get that first group through, understand the things that you've missed. So we got great feedback, and now we're transitioning to free claim. So you can get everything you need right away to go in, play all the levels, connect to the reward site, find more. And we're also, which I think is really important, introducing the ability to claim. We've got some sirens going here. Introducing the ability to claim without a wallet, because I think that's another thing which, once you're inside, you underestimate. Once you've set up a wallet, it's easy, but that's once you set up a wallet. And so we've really been focused on what are the things we can do to onboard as many people as possible, get them in there, give them an introduction, which hopefully won't be scary, and then also show them that, hey, we want to create an environment where taking simple actions is the way to increase the value, right? Increase the scarcity. And so that's what we're doing. So yeah, we started with the beta. We're getting out there. We'll be launching those 3 sports. We'll have the free claims, and then we'll actually be launching basketball and hockey as well next month. So by the end of October, we'll have all 5 sports up and running, full steam ahead. And then we're not tied to any specific league. So when let's, for example, when a league stops in one country, we can tap into a league in another country. And so that's it. And then we'll be onboarding the first couple of brand partners into the reward site, creating playable characters, reflecting their brand that you can also play in the game, but also earn unique rewards. So we're really excited. Yeah.
That's very exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of those sports involved. And you said it back at the beginning, it's like everyone thinks it's so big right away when a company is huge, but it was a 10-year overnight success with Zappos. And I feel like there's a lot of companies that are trying to start up things integrated into Web3 and make it a success literally overnight. They're like, this needs to be done in the next month, but it really takes a lot longer than that. And sort of having that long-term vision and understanding that when you've been through startups in the past, you sort of understand the realities and the expectations. And I think that you guys are poised well to do this properly and not rush to conclusions.
Thanks. Yeah, we're also not following that approach of one collection mint out and it's gone.
Yeah.
And then scarcity, right? So there will always be a collection. You will always be able to come to our site and mint something. We'll have collections, and when that collection sells out, we'll set that one aside and we'll put another one which will be slightly different reward, slightly different rating, slightly different look and feel, because it's something where right now, any week, there's no starting and stop, right? Any week, you can jump in, you can create a league that will start, you could pick any Thursday of the year and get a league going, right? And you can go in any day of the year and make daily picks. So it's not really deadline based where everyone has to be in by this date or they miss the season. Leagues start throughout the season, daily picks start throughout the season. It's not, hey, we have to sell out quick because the whole goal was to sell out. The goal was not to sell out. The goal is to constantly give small collections with different unique value propositions, see how that works, and then create an environment where the holders can create the value by building up the ratings, and then take those to the traditional resale marketplaces and sell those to other players in the community that are like, I need a cyber with a high rating. So definitely slow and steady. No expectations for overnight success, but a hope that we can look back in 10 years and say, wow, that was easy. That happened overnight.
Yeah. Amazing. And I'm curious on how you approach the competitive landscape, looking at the size of fantasy sports with some of these giants like DraftKings, and the network effects that they've built up, and the Web2 functionalities that a lot of these big platforms have, sort of coming in as a competitor with a Web3 advantage in there, but also sort of having to have all the functionality that comes with the traditional fantasy. Do you see, I've had this personal experience as well, trying to go into a Web2 industry with a Web3 advantage, and sometimes just having blockchain isn't a competitive advantage in itself. You sort of have to compete with all those other functions as well. Do you see that as a necessity for the success of Hellebor?
Yeah, I think the advantage that the upstart generally has is creativity, right? You've got to do something different, and you've got to do it in a unique way. And so we looked at it as, we're creating a platform, a base level of a game and a reward site where you make predictions, and traditional fantasy are player based. So you're focused on, I have, LeBron James on my team, and I have, Joe Burrow or whatever it is, Aaron Rodgers on my team. And so there's a lot of that. And then people are also used to, waiting to see how they did based on how those players do in a game. So the first thing we said was, you know what, I think as the upstart, a lot of it's like, how much time and effort should you be spending on which thing? So should we be going to leagues and pitching them on, hey, can we use your uniforms? Can we do this license? Can we use these players? Well, one, no, because that's a much easier sell for the person farther along who says, hey, I've already got this volume. I can guarantee you X, Y, Z. So as the upstart, we thought initially that's why we wouldn't do it. And then we realized, no, the reason we won't do it is because it's the opportunity to create new IP is the exciting part. The opportunity to say, hey, how this game goes is based on how you do. You are the player in the game. You're the one increasing the rating of the player in the game. So if you get your cyber up to a +4, he will positively impact your head-to-head matchup today. If you, and not only that, he'll impact it next week as long as you maintain that +4. You're not relying on a player on the field. You're reliant on your own ability to make simple predictions. So that was one. The second one was, if you can, see the opportunity for fresh IP, it's endless, right? So you say, hey, if we can build a game that is simple, and people are willing to come back for a little bit each day, and they'll need new characters as we onboard new sports, as we enter new seasons each year. There's a lot of opportunity there to create IP as the character, like we did right now with the cyber, which then, you try to take all the best parts of, that as a collector you've seen in NFTs, even though you wanted there to be more than speculation, and say, wow, so all the IP stuff that everyone's excited about, that's still possible. All the, all the rarity, that's still possible. It's just that the holder's creating it instead of the collection. And then I think, not being so I think that's the big one. The big one is saying, hey, we're not going to rely on the league or the players. Yes, that would be great in a way because it validates you, right? The consumer goes, oh, look, this has the stamp of approval. But I don't think going out and getting the same stamp of approval as everyone else is how, as the upstart, you compete with the giant, right? You have to have something unique. You have to rely on your creativity and say, all right, you guys be as creative as you want. We'll be as creative as we want. And we think we can carve out a niche, not to replace you, but to exist alongside you. And then over time, who knows what's possible. So I see a world where, 10 years from now, why not? Why isn't, making your daily picks in Hellebor, why isn't that just an activity that, millions of people do? And why isn't it a platform where we've created a ton of brands, we've created a ton of IP, and also every significant consumer brand is like, I need to have a presence on Hellebor. That's the goal. And I think that's also another reason not to, not to try and rely on what's already out there, and just build from scratch, have a long-term view, have fun, be curious, take it slowly, see what happens.
Definitely. And I love that approach. Nick, it goes with the whole ethos of Web3 of bringing the power back into your hands, and you're no longer just relying on whether the player scores or not, and you can't really influence that through the TV. It's time to take matters into your own hands and grow your cyber and grow the platform yourself. So I do love that approach, and props to you for following through on that innovation. I do think it's going to succeed, and I'm looking forward to seeing how when the game comes out of beta here in the near future, how I can get started, and for the viewers as well, what is the best way for them to start learning about this and get involved in the beta or for the launch in the near future here?
Yeah, they can go to playhellebor.com, and depending on when this airs or when they're watching this, they should be able to jump right in. You can follow us at playhellebor. You can follow me on Twitter at CoastTalk. And hopefully, get people in there, get their feedback. We'll keep making slow and steady improvements and see where we can take this. But I really appreciate you, having me on. Appreciate your thoughts on the game and feedback. It was great to hear. And love to do it again one day.
Sounds great, Nick. And likewise, thank you so much for coming on. I will leave the links in the description box below as well. All the best with the upcoming big launch of Hellebor. I will be watching as well, and I'll make sure that we share it with our fans. And let's follow up in the near future.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks.